Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be going over the preliminaries of a game called Project Sidewinder. Now what is Project Sidewinder? Well, at its core, it's going to be a game about jets. It's going to be a game about being awesome jet fighters, doing jet fighter things, as you also do homoerotic fucking beach volleyball. That's going to be in here as well, I guess, because if we're going to make Top Gun, you may as well commit to Top Gun. Now, generally speaking, just reset everything. Oof. Yeah, I want to go for a little bit more Arcadey in terms of our particular jet game today. Now, the big thing is there's a little fucking fly in here, just a little tiny fly, and he's being really annoying. I can see you. You're just hanging out. You're just being a dick. But, as I was saying, one of the big things what I wanted to get across is, because this particular idea, a fighter jet, fighter pilot, fighter jet game, isn't really done. And what do I mean by that? I've actually looked quite a bit. And the most recent thing I could really find is coming down to things like Warbirds, which is World War II. They have an expansion, actually, which is the Modern Age. Now, World War II fighter games, you can actually do quite a few different things with, but at the end of the day, this is the Jet Age. There isn't actually much here. Like... That's like one of the biggest issues with this, is that it's kind of a weird thing to even try to simulate. It just isn't a thing. Because even down here, there's also like, oh, what do you recommend? Lasers and Feelings. The Extraordinary Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Bliss Stage for some fucking reason. Yeah, people are recommending Bliss Stage. This is from 8 years ago. So I'm like, okay, that's useless. Let's see what's on here. Oh, Harm's Way, Wild Blue. Never even heard of this game. Let's do a little bit. What's here? Oh. Hi, RPG Pundit. I don't think I can actually even see. I don't even think I could actually look at you because you're like bad in... They're flying mice games. Like, there's this one, Modern Mercenaries, and of course there's obviously a Mercenary Air Squadron. Which is Mercenary Air Squadron, which barely is an RPG, by the way. Yeah, go to sleep, K9. Just go to sleep. Just... Why? No. go to bed. Sleepy time is good. But yeah, no, generally speaking, I've been kind of looking around and seeing what I could find. There just really isn't much. Usually it's like, oh, it's Star Cluster. It's this system. It's like a generic system, but it's also its own thing, or we're adding on to it. People were even recommending in the Reddit thread like the Macross game. It's like, what? Like, okay. Like, yeah, they're just pretty much talking about that particular game in this thread. Let me see if I can find anything right now. Armageddon 2089. Navy pilot, like, so I guess In Harm's Way is the closest thing I could really find. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Yeah, Birds of Ad Astra games, like, it's a lot of, yeah, Kazakhstan behind enemy lines, D20 role-playing RPG. You want to go to Kazakhstan? Okay, fine, fuck it. But yeah, it's kind of like a weird genre that isn't really touched upon all that much, and I couldn't really find too much. Yeah, go to sleep, K9, don't worry. Yeah, I couldn't really find that much. So, right now with Project Sidewinder, it's what can we do? What is here? What can we make? Now, looking here, roughly speaking, I kind of have an idea of what we're looking at here. So I did decide, finally, we're going to go for, effectively, mercenary fiction. Now, what does mercenary fiction mean? It's a lot more about, well, we got a client over here, or it's more about the... I want to do this. Mercenary fiction is more about the business, more than the, how do I want to say it, the war. It is about the business of war, not the war business. A little bit different. It's like, hey, yeah, we're not getting paid enough for this. Fuck this, we're out. And you can do a little bit more with PMC fiction or mercenary fiction in general. So we have that as kind of like a baseline understanding. So, what does this mean? Well, let's get looking, see if we can find anything. Because I thought I had what I wanted to do with this. I actually really did. I was thinking, like, maybe we can do like a dice pool system. Maybe we can do like a weird system, but I couldn't really find anything to even reference, really. Because there's one big problem about jet fighters. One fairly big problem you always have to consider. Jet fighters go fast. Real fast. Really, really, really fast. And it's really hard to kind of feel... How do I want to word this? It's difficult to well, I think the problem is, kind of boils down there, Mr. Y, is that because you are in this plane constantly, it's a vehicle going really fast, it's hard to kind of wrap your head around things sometimes. You're going so insanely fast, you're going so here, and getting hit by anything is death. Getting hit by a missile is you exploding in a thing of fucking shrapnel. You're dead, effectively, if you get hit by anything, really. Like, and kind of the modern modern doctrine with jets aren't actually that fascinating. You zoom to a place that takes you 5 minutes to get to, you drop a payload of everything you have, and you leave. Oh wow, good session everybody. You didn't even engage the enemy, you just blew everyone up and left. So it's like, okay, we need to kind of give people a little bit more reason to do that. So, let me think. There's one thing I want to do across is I do want to get the melodramatic plane adventures in here. Let's actually see. I'm probably going to go for Strange Reel because I like Strange Reel settings because I can play a little bit more around with them. So let's do here, you're a PMC, mostly dealing with mercenary fiction. Arcadey jet game, put you right there. Pretty much what I want it to be is that you can still get hit. One of the big things I want to base it off of out of anything is things like Project Wingman and Ace Combat. Just generally the idea of kind of more ridiculous things going on. Where you are a group of people in a fighter squadron doing cool stuff because you're a bunch of really cool people. But the problem is... I was thinking about something like that. Again, that where health isn't really health, per se. Health is more kind of an abstraction. Or just say, fuck it, you can take like 4 or 5 missiles and you won't really care, because again, Arcadey jet game. Not necessarily, I don't want to like represent like every nuanced detail. It's going to be a little bit, again, Arcadey. Little bit funny, a little bit, not a little funny, but a little bit more ridiculous, you could say. Actually, let's make a decision right here. Do we want pilots to do things? Now, what do I mean by this is, should pilots, you know, actually what I should say is, as a pilot, should you roll anything? Or is the pilot scenes more of a intermittent idea? Let's see. Maybe use both, like machine guns wear out the reflex bar, but lucky hit or many hits down a plane, and missiles are the opposite, being easy to dodge, but you're beyond fucking dead. Alright. Well, let's put that in here. We'll call it, I guess we'll call it reflex. We'll call it the reflex bar for now. What was being proposed for this anyway, this section, was that you have, your health bar isn't really a health bar per se. It's your ability to dodge. It's your ability to not get hit more than anything. So machine gun fire is chip damage, you can say. It's not really going to kill you unless they unload their entire thing on you and you're just kind of fucked. If you're dumb, you're going to die to machine gun fire. However, a missile is going to kill. However, as long as you have reflex, you can avoid missiles. If you get a missile swarm, obviously, well, you're going to have a bad time. So, alright, we'll put that in there. That could be... But are pilots important? Well, pilots are important and heavily skilled, but should they roll? I'm gonna say... Actually, we should say pilot scenes. Intermissions between missions. Important, but important but drama focused, is that how I want to say it? Maybe even have like a... You can even, I can probably even put in like a... See. Okay. Quick diceless resolution system here. Now, if I really wanted to be autistic, and this is like a legendarily autistic thing, as we do make this a diceless game, make it entirely token based. How cursed would that be? Let's think. Let's take a moment to think, everybody. How cursed? Now I got an idea in my head, and this is awful. Soliloquy to the void. So, the game is... Not like a shmup. Not like shmups. Not like that quite. Not quite like that. Less focused on realism, more focused on cool things. So game is diceless, relying heavily on a token system to manage a combination of skill, luck, and daring do characters. Let's see. Characters gain tokens by... performing actions while spending them to, quote, resolve actions. Pretty much the idea behind that would be... Pretty much the idea behind this version, we'll call... Right now, we will call over here... We'll say Project Sidewinder diceless. The kind of the core premise would be everything is tokens and maneuvering. You don't roll a die necessarily, you fire a bunch of missiles. What are your missiles? They are tokens. They are things that you have on your board to say, these are mine. Kind of like Mercenary Air Squadron in a way, except there's no random chance necessarily. I have 5 missiles, I'm going to shoot those, I'm going to shoot a missile at you. And because I'm shooting a missile at you, you're going to have to burn a reflex. You've mitigated it. You've dodged the missile, but your reflex is low. If I shoot more missiles at you, you're going to have to dodge more. Unless we have like a shit ton of tokens. Like a lot of tokens. Tokens and maneuvering, so this would be more... Pilots generate tokens. So that would make the pilot stats a little bit more important. So it would be more along the idea of like pilot, a pilot may have maneuver 3. Let's say for example, a pilot let's say pilot, Pilot Smith. Pilot Smith has like a maneuver 3, combat 4, and reflex 2, for example. So every round, he's going to get 3 maneuver tokens, 4 combat tokens, 2 reflex tokens. He wants to do things to get himself in a good position, or something like that. He can spend these things to do things. If you're really aggressive, you can obviously do things like that. That would give pilots a little bit more to work with. Okay, so we're going to establish what I mean by an arcade flyer right now. For example, in Ace Combat, you can technically have as many missiles as you kind of feel like. You can have hundreds of missiles. A real jet fighter probably has. Let's actually check. Let's check a jet fighter in service. Let's see active U.S. military aircraft, and we want to do what's a good bomber. What's a bomber that's been. Let's do a pretty reliable one. 20 years. Stinger 2. Stinger 2 gunship as... Yeah, that's a gunship. We don't need gunships. Air refueling, basic trainer, CAS. Ghost Rider, Thunderbolt. What? Yeah, okay. So this is the A-10 Thunderbolt 2. Right here. Cool. We like the A-10 Thunderbolt 2. This thing probably has... Let's see how many... Let's see, how many actual... You have 8. You have 8 missiles. You can have a couple rockets. You have a few rockets, you have a few things, but generally speaking, you're not going to have very many missiles, because why would you? You can't fit that many. What are the starting equipment rules in MGA? There are none. You selected what sounds most appropriate. Because I'm very lazy. Yeah, the king of planes. Yeah, it's generally say something like, yeah, here's the Thunderbolt and things like that. You don't have 100. You don't have 100 missiles. You have 8. What I mean by kind of the more arcadey is things are a little. It's not. You're trading in realism for entertainment value, kind of like how in, we'll say, even in Project Wingman, for example. Project Wingman, a monarch is technically a man with no blood. Because you can take turns, G-force turns, which would kill you. Because it is an arcade shooter, it is an arcadey game in which is more about having fun rather than being hyper-realistic. Because hyper-realism is really fun for very few people. And that's why, like, that was like my big thing when it came to Mercenary Air Squadron. Be like, it's a very detailed game. However, it's a very detailed game. And if you don't like that, you may not like it very much. So that's kind of what I mean by Arcadey, not like a shmup. Yeah, it's like one of the issues is like people realism is you know what? There's a guy I've been watching recently, Josh Strife Hayes. He does MMO videos. I've been always fascinated in MMOs, but he's been saying about hardcore full loot PvP MMOs. People say they really want hardcore full loot PvP MMOs, but every time they come out, they fail. To kind of wrap it around, people always say they want a really super hyper realistic tabletop role-playing game. They do not. They do not want that. They have never wanted that. What they want is for everything to feel realistic. They want things to make them feel invested. They want things to feel good. Not necessarily be hyper realistic, because realistically speaking, you're not going on an adventure. That doesn't happen. Realistically speaking, this isn't how this works. That's why you can kind of stretch the truth a little bit. There's a term for it, I can't remember what it is, but people want something that makes them feel nice. It's the right enough. That's the idea. Right enough. But so if we do something like this, so the idea is that the pilots are generating tokens. Tokens are everything, and you're maneuvering. Let's say you're on the field. That's a little bit too big. Let's say you're on the field and you deploy on various locations, and the enemy is also going to deploy. They may make movements like this, while you might decide that you want to go like this, depending on things like the speed of your craft. So these tokens generate tokens. Planes are absolutes. So we can kind of go with that idea. Like a plane is an absolute. If the plane says you have, a movement, movement 3, you're going to have move 3. Because it's kind of an idea, like, do we want to go hardcore into... So no sci-fi weapon. Like, yeah, that'll be in there. But what I mean by, like, planes are absolutes, it's more along the lines of, like, if your plane has X, if your plane has X, then you will always have X until you expend it, which may be a series of tokens. Which someone having, like, oh, I have a, fucking rail cannon on my plane that goes pew, pew, pew. Cool, you have a rail cannon on your plane that does something. That is something with a clear absolute. This is just one idea more than anything. So this is kind of the idea of pilots generate tokens, planes have absolutes with some tokens, like I have X amount of missiles or something, but everything is reliant on these. It's kind of the idea of spend, receive, spend, receive. It'll be a resource management game while being everything there. So that's option A. Like that's what we're gonna say is option. This is. We'll put this off to the side right here. We're gonna put a little square around there and simply state that this is the first way. Alternatively, again, it's the thing is, Mr. Y, is I can plan ahead for like, oh, I want spaceships, I want laser beams, I want all that. I don't even have a dice system yet. There's not even a core here yet. Like, I'll worry about that shit later. But actually, if I go with this way, we're going to need detailed combat map. You know, we're going to need a detailed... The big thing there would be a detailed combat map. So, what would be the second way? Well, the second way would be adding in a dice system. So what would be the dice system for this kind of game? So, let's sit back, let's take a second, close our eyes, and think. We're jet fighter pilot. We're fighter pilots. This is a melodramatic fighter pilot adventure. We are sitting, you know, we are in the cockpit. We are ready to go. We're doing mercenary stuff. How do we want to handle this? We have been drafted for the war. Now, option A is we do an abstracted battle map system. I can probably use the action map to make it work pretty easily in that regard. That shouldn't be too complicated. Now, I'm trying to think at the top of my head. Combat map wouldn't work. I don't think the action map would work really, unless I really edit some aspects of it. But I could probably... I think I can take the same five-step area, five-step concept, and apply it here pretty well. So, basic idea. You don't need to exist. We're gone. So, basic idea would be get my little 5. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is fuck you. So if you're here, for example, we can kind of borrow this from Wild Skies a little bit. You can hit everyone up in front of you. However, if you're here, you're pretty much going really fast. So it's kind of like a speed system, maybe? Like a... speed system? You do a speed system. Do we have anything? So... let's actually vehicular TTRPGs. Oh God, I don't want to go. Oh, it's you. Okay. Let's think. Mercenary Airs, you're a mercenary air pilot, you're going around in ace combat. What do? You're going to be going to do missions. What kind of missions are you going to be doing? You're going to be usually fighting other pilots or completing an objective. Destroy a location, do a thing, protect the thing. Now, alternate idea. Wild idea. Something that may be a little bit strange, but also a little bit interesting. We can kind of say, fuck it. Ooh. Now we can say fuck the abstract. Fuck abstract movement, fuck that. We just yeet that out the goddamn window. Don't need it. Don't need to think about it. We instead focus on a more detailed system, maybe with a dice pool. Dice pool, D6 dice pool, use pilots built from pilot stats plus plane stats. Fuck. This is the reason I don't like vehicle games. Here's the thing with vehicle games, is that you as the pilot are one person, but the vehicle plays such a fundamental point in it, you have to balance out the pilot and the vehicle. Most games, vehicle combats aren't actually very good unless it's purpose-built for the matter. However, this is where things get a little bit weird. We need to instead roll it backwards. We need to make a vehicle combat game first and everything else second. Dice pool. D6 dice pool, roll a few D6, and 5 up succeeds. What are you going to succeed at? Hitting, spending, doing things. What are your stats going to look like? Stats are going to be some things that are going to be pilot stuff. It's going to be based on pretty much you and your daring do. We want pilot attributes to kind of double both. It's kind of like personality as well as effectiveness. If you're a very aggressive person, you should feel very aggressive. Maybe tie attributes to emotions. Tie attributes to that. Say fuck. D100 game. You're a dice pool, D100 set value, kind of make wild skies, but not. Instead of try to roll D100, try to hit within certain ranges. You can edit the ranges with pilot skills. Better pilot you are, the higher your effectiveness in certain areas are going to be, maybe. But what are you going to do in the planes then? Your harpy can't hurt Luca, and Luca can't hurt the harpy. What do? I don't fucking know. I'm doing something. Though I should ask, what do you mean by they can't hit each other? Are they just auto-attacking one another? That happens a lot. Escorting other planes is another one. Dice resources? What do you mean by dice resources? Kind of like build a dice pool of various different kinds of dice and then spend the dice doing things? That could work. I don't know how it would work, though. Where would you build the dice? Unless it's, again, like tokenomics. If a tokenomic system. But where would you get the dice? Unless we roll it back, you have your pilot dice that you're going to get back every turn, and then you have absolutes in your plane dice. Your plane dice are going to be absolute. You're always going to have in this gun, this particular plane, 2d10s to fire your guns, because they are very damn good guns. You are going to have d8 missiles in this this plane, because these are damn good missiles. You can roll those, you can add those, and you can do things, and they're going to generate successes. But how do you counter those successes? Spend defensive dice to reflex move, maybe, or just take it on your reflex bar. So it's kind of like I like dice pools, but I'm like, it's kind of a chicken and egg scenario. Just like, how do you... So mostly it'd be something like build dice pool. Build dice pool. But yeah, Ironside, if you're here, send me the information on Discord. PM it to me or something. Okay, build dice pool from pilot, jet, and situation, I guess. Then do thing. What do we want to do with doing thing? Okay, what are we rolling against? How are we doing this? Successes generate... Fuck. I can see it. Because like, let's just... We don't think about the plane. We don't think about the plane at all. We don't think about the plane. Let's ignore plane. Let's just build system. So, build dice pool from various sources. Roll dice. Attempt to hit successes. More successes equal more. More successes equal better result. Better result using can be opposed by another by a counter roll. So that would be a little bit odd, but you're always kind of spending dice. You're kind of spending dice from this dice pool, for example. So let's say you have 3 in maneuver and excusez-moi. But let's say you have, god damn it. Let's say you have 3d6 in your maneuver. And let's say you have, I don't know, a d10 in your engine. Your enemy, however, is going to shoot you. He's got 2d6 in his fight or aggression or whatever the fuck you want to call it. 2d8 in his guns and a d10 because he's using a missile. He's using a good missile on it. So he's going to roll his dice. Let's say 4 up succeeds. Let's say 4 up succeeds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 successes. Pretty bad hit. I'm gonna roll my dice now. I roll 1, 2, 3. Okay. He's gonna do 1 damage to me effectively. He's gonna reduce my reflexes by 1 because 1 damage got through. That feels really fucking awkward. Why does that feel awkward? It doesn't feel good at all. These are my... That's a beautiful sound. That's called very expensive metal dice. Okay, where are you going to get these dice? When are you going to build your dice pool from? Let's just ask that question. So, we're going to say base pilot skills. So actually, we're going to do base pilot attributes. It's how quality you are at it. Base pilot skills, how good you are at doing something. Your plane parts, plane equipment. Like spend dice. Base pilot attributes, base pilot skills, plane parts, plane equipment. Those are going to be able to build it up all together. You're just going to roll a shit ton of dice at once with the idea of managing your parts. Your equipment isn't going to last forever. and these are going to be fairly consistent. So I want to shoot somebody. I've got to sit. I'm on their 6. You know, abstract move. We abstract the battle map out again. We decide that it's a location that shoot it with a gun. Pew pew. One, two, three, four. Unless we restrict the dice pool bounce, but that won't feel very good because oh, there I am. I can see it. Why won't it work? Maybe, Jet Fighter war game. Is there a war game I can consult? There's something to work with. Jet Age war game. Modern Jet Era. Speed of Heat. Mig Alley, Mustangs. Hello, Mig Alley. It's a hex system, so this is Speed of Heat. That's a hex game. Do we want to do that? Do we want to just say fuck it? Maybe I'm looking wrong. Like this having something to look, like just having something to look at. If I had something to look at, I could have something. X-Wing? Would X-Wing be X-Wing miniatures? Actually, I know what we can do. I know, Space Combat TTRPG. Good space combat system. Okay, we gotta look different. Look differently. Yeah. See, a lot of them are World War II. That's like the main issue. Is it's World War II and World War I, which have ever so slightly different basic assumptions. Mostly speed. You are going to be able, like, again, it's these like very minor corrections and these very minor changes in jet fighting where it's You have things like radar. You have things like being able to just fire off a shit ton of missiles and just not think about it too much. Having like guns on the exterior aren't as important simply because they aren't. Why would there be? Because you don't need a back gunner. It'd be because if someone's shooting your ass, you're already dead. Stars without number. Traveler space combat. Capital ship. Ashen stars. Intercept. Board game blog mainly about its features, vector movement, double blind, sensor rules. So it's a fucking blind movement. Tell me more about X-Wing. It's funny this is here because I do have X-Wing dice. I've never played the game. I got it in a random like bag of dice. I got like a few X-Wing dice. Maneuver dials. Planning phase. For each of his ships by using its maneuver dial, each ship moves according to its chosen maneuver. Form one attack. Pilot skill value. Theory about firing arc. We adapt the dice, maybe. See, if I felt comfortable using proprietary dice, that's what I would do. Unless we just say fuck it. So let's see. Action bar. Epsilon Squadron pilot skill 1. So Red Squadron can perform its attack first. Epsilon Squadron is inside Warp Veteran Arc. Measures Red Squadron Veteran, Epsilon Squadron pilot. Each is range 2. Can attack him. Red Squadron Veteran rolls to. So we abstract it out and then make it about, not really about the pilot value, but the pilot value is more about deriving places where it can be. Oh, sweet fuck. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna call it here for today. Yeah, I didn't even stream an hour. Yeah, you wanna know why? Because I am lost. I need to just sit down and stare at this. I think I have the idea. Think I have it, but I need to think on it more. I need to mull it over, and I need to mull it over by myself in perfect contemplation because I have it. I think I have it in my head. I know what I want it to look like. That's the cursed part. I understand what I want it to look like because the entire thing is what The entire premise is simple. You have a battle map, there are going to be the players, and there's going to be the enemies. There's going to be an objective. There's something wrong going on. Hey guys, you need to protect the SAM sites. Hey guys, you need to blow up their tower over here. Hey guys, there's gonna be a slow ass fucking plane going this way. Run cover for them. Like there's like kind of like these natural engagements. Now the question is, do we want a battle map, as in a literal map? We can go for the abstracted map, where it's like, I'm a pilot going here, which if I am here, that means I can attack everyone up here now. Or do we want to go with some random other bullshit? There's a lot of if, maybe, but, or, but perhaps here. Not really anything too hard and concrete, which is difficult because I can see it play out. Yeah, I think that's the worst part. It's like, I can see, you know, Dagger Squad, 3 bogeys on your right, move to engage. Everyone turns, they can see them, you zoom toward the enemy. You know, and you break off the second everyone starts going for their bogeys. Everyone starts trying to target the person they want to fight. You're firing missiles, you're shooting guns, you're trying to dodge, you're doing reflexes. You're trying to move around and get behind them to shove a missile up their ass. Because if you can shove that missile up their ass, you're gonna be good. You're gonna survive. But that's where things get complicated, is putting everything together. I'm going to ask some people. I'm going to ask a few people what they think. Because I can see it. It's there. But why isn't it wanting to work properly? Why in my head, I can see it, but my head's like, this isn't going to work the way you think it's going to work. Something is missing from it, and I can't put my finger on what's missing. That's the part that's driving me insane. So I'm going to think on it. I'm going to just mull, and it's going to drive me insane, and you're probably going to see me in meandering thoughts losing my shit. So, Godspeed, good luck. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Maybe even later tonight when I come up with a brilliant fucking idea. I don't know. Game design, yay!